another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. 3 games this week. First up is Obliteracy. Uh, in case you missed it, we did a multiplayer session of this game on Friday, and you can find that in the archives. Don't forget to preserve that.
All right.
Especially since that's the only actual gameplay footage, because Petty Fan is not good at this game.
I suck with words.
Yeah, you have to know a lot of words to be good at this.
Yeah, I am not gooder at words.
Yeah, because this is basically weaponized Scrabble. Like,
Yep.
Or Boggle or something like that.
Insert word board game here.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like, or if you want to, it's multiplayer bookworm adventures. Bookworm. Yeah.
You young kids remember words with friends, right?
Like, the point of order is, you've got robots fighting using the power of wordsmithing. It's as wacky as you think it is.
Yeah, in the future, they developed a method to turn long words into power.
Mm-hmm.
And then people are fighting using that.
Yeah. Finally, people who can spell anti-disestablishmentarianism have the edge.
I mean, yeah, if you're lucky and draw like a shit ton of S's.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not even sure if there's the word space to do that word there. Like,
There probably is.
Yeah.
You'd have to get like super lucky, but it might work.
Yeah.
Probably a one-hit KO.
Yeah. The point of order is the chances of getting a word that long are not high.
That said, there are achievements for getting words of lengths more than 10 letters, so...
Yeah.
Especially since this does lack one of Scrabble's key features, if I'm recalling correctly. That is saving a letter.
Mm.
Or rather, no, it's doing it differently from Scrabble. I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, you get your own hand of letters only you can use, but
Yeah,
there is one guy I think who has power that lets you use who's ever.
Yeah, no. The thing is, you get your own letters. They get their own letters, but they're on the board. They're not hidden behind.
Right, and some characters have abilities that alter whether or not you have any tiles, as does what stage you're playing on alters whether or not you have... Everybody has their own tiles.
Right. And also compounding things are colored tiles. Kind of their version of double word score, triple word score, though it doesn't work that way. It's more double damage, quad damage, and it depends. The way damage works here is not just the length of the words, but the letters. Like
like in Scrabble, rare letters are worth more points. Yeah. But yeah, instead of just being points, there are two different tracks. There is prosody, which is the amount of word power you have that unlocks your special abilities. And there is damage, which is how much actual damage you're doing. And some of them, like the double letter score for either prosody or damage, means you don't do the other one, whereas there are 125 and 150% word multipliers for prosody and damage, and they are more powerful but rarer.
Also, there's another consideration when building your words. Placement of letters. Rare letters placed at the front of a word are going to do a lot more damage than if they're in the middle of a word. Like if you put a Q or an F or something in the front and it's gold title, you're doing about 2,000 points worth of damage right there.
Really? I didn't notice any placement effects, but then I was mostly trying to aim for multipliers.
Well, yeah, it's something I observed with the base character you get in the single player. He does his base power. His is to show you how much damage each tile will do. That's something I learned through that. Brief word of mention here, since it's a bit of an awkward situation. We were provided a code and pre-access to this game, but the thing of it is, it's free to play. And we're doing
and there are microtransactions for unlocking more.
Right.
Basically, loot boxes which unlock things to power up your characters in single player.
No. They're called loot tiles. Literally called loot tiles.
Okay, loot tiles that are boxes only 2-dimensional.
Right. Anyway, and this game is available on PC, Steam, and iOS and Android. And it's going to be our recommendation that you actually play the mobile version of this. I mean, first of all, the game itself looks like it was just ported from the mobile version.
Yeah, it's not bad for playing on PC specifically, but especially the multiplayer, which it has allowances for like days for the other person to respond if you want to. So you can like basically play by mail on that, which is easy to do with a phone.
Anyway, and the multiplayer is similarly limited, as you can only play 2 players. I'll note a game of actual Scrabble can go up to 4 players.
Yeah, because partially because there are possession of tiles, and there are only 2 colors to distinguish who owns what.
Right. This game was built for 2 players. And it's balanced around 2 players. Doing 4 players would have been a whole lot more work.
And to clarify the gameplay, actually, if you aren't watching the video, it's basically actually more like reverse Scrabble, where the letters are on the board and you pull them off to make words with.
And I'm trying to. The music is surprisingly good.
Yeah, they recommend you play it with the sound on for a reason.
Yeah, I was surprised that, because games of this caliber, like, it's not exactly blowing minds with the graphical prowess here. Like, this is a game that probably could have been done in the 90s, like this.
It looks like Flash animation.
Yeah. So, maybe early 2000s. Like, if this were released 10 years ago, this would have been a browser game.
Yeah, it's not like the art is bad or anything. It's just fairly simple.
Yeah, like, looking at, there is a browser version, by the way. Not shocking. Like, it's like, also worth noting, you do have to unlock characters for the single player mode.
Yeah, which are mostly... Yeah. You can't actually in single player play as all of the characters in multiplayer mode. Some of the ones in multiplayer mode, I think, are strictly villains.
Right.
But yeah, like, you unlock them by, like... I think one you actually unlock by losing either single player or multiplayer match. There's ones you unlock by beating the game once, by playing a certain number of matches. I think there's one for, like, by scoring a certain number of... doing a certain number of damage total.
Right. Also worth noting... Jeez, I hate... I had something, but I kind of... Oh, right. This game really does push you to sign up for an account.
Oh, yeah, there's actually a character you unlock by that.
Right. And in order to do the multiplayer, you do have to do that. Mind you, creating an account is pretty simple. Like, all you have to do is provide an email address and a password.
Right.
So if you're concerned about um, giving details to Magic Chopstick, there
You can.
doesn't seem to be too much in the way of personal information here.
I was gonna say you can create a new Gmail for free.
Yeah, it's like this thing will accept Gmail accounts. So if you really want to, you can create a burner account, and you'll probably be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but the reason they push you to get an account is because the whole freemium model.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that being said, the game didn't feel grindy for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I will say, fighting against computer opponents can drag because sometimes the health bars are long, especially in quick match. Like, and thinking of words for a long time can get draining after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So just keep that in mind. That's probably a reason why they got the play-by-mail feature.
I have 6 days to look on Google to find a word that can beat him.
Like, it was kind of a one-sided match since Petty Fan's our streamer. He's the one who has to do the on-screen stuff.
Yeah, if this is a first-person shooter, I'd be taking Golix to the cleaners, but we have to get something I'm not good at.
Well, it's also we put you against our linguist here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, that was going to be a stomp fest.
Yeah, and I enjoyed the game for what it's worth, but it's more to my taste than Petty Fans. So
right,
yeah.
No, as a game, it's perfectly functional, even good, not amazing or anything, but if you like, coming up with words, word games, this will be right up your alley. It's got a good package, at least a good premise. Like, the art is somewhat iffy, and so on and so forth, but and you don't have to really invest. Like, yeah, there are the loot tiles, but at the lower stages, those aren't really a consideration. Like, I don't think anyone here really got that invested in Obliteracy.
Mm.
So
No.
yeah. So ultimately, where do we come down on this? I'll get it's kind of hard to give a number rating to this since
the rating. Do you like Scrabble? Here, play it with lasers.
Yeah, it's like a lot of this is going to come down to do you like creating words? If you don't, you're not going to enjoy this. Like, especially if you play against other people, because presumably the people who are doing multiplayer do like word games.
yeah, and just if you want to, I mean, part of the fun is like testing your own knowledge of words and stuff, but the game certainly is not too fast for you to like use a dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
It probably seems to be using the Scrabble dictionary.
Right. Another thing to note, after a match, there will be definitions for all the words you and your opponent used.
Mm-hmm.
So
you can see things that have definitions like a misspelling of other word, which is like totally bullshit.
some of the definitions are not very good, because if you use things like plural or suffix, it'll just say it's the this version of that word.
Well, yeah, you can drill down to that. I'm just a little bit grumpy because the mini boss used didn't DIDINT on me, and the definition was a misspelling of didn't DID apostrophe DIDN apostrophe T. And I'm like, fuck, that counts as a word.
No, it does. No, it shouldn't because.
But it does. So.
Right.
Stupid fucking cheating mini boss.
That's a trope of some kind.
Like the final boss was pulling out really obscure words, but A, they were real words, and B, it's the final boss, so that's okay.
But when they're pulling out misspellings to use against you, that's bullshit.
Right. Anyway, I'll say at the end of the day, at least give it a try because there's no real investment. Even a time investment is going to be pretty short.
Yeah, what we put like an hour or two into our little match.
Well, I'm talking about because most people are probably not going to go to the multiplayer foremost. Like
Fair.
they're probably gonna like the single player is a lot snappier, especially at the lower levels because, surprise, the beginning robots use baby words and shit. You know,
not always baby words. I was pretty attentive to what the restrictions are, and it's mostly it's a combination of word length. Like the first 3 or 4 enemies will only use 3-letter words.
What it's
and then it'll go like 4 or 5, and then the final boss uses whatever it wants.
Right.
And also, like, there are less multipliers for the opponents to use on earlier maps.
Mm-hmm. Like, anyway, it's got a curve, is what we're saying here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, ultimately, give it a whirl. Like, it's not gonna hurt you, and you don't have to like buy loot tiles to take on the beginning robots. Or if you do, well, that's a different discussion for a different day. Anyway, that'll about do it for Obliteracy here. Be sure to tune in after the break as we review Keytrinos, Inside the Cube.